Welcome to Toronto Ultras podcast. It's the Maven and Merk podcast. Merk and Maven, Joe. I'm so sorry. Merk and Maven. I got it wrong. I haven't screwed up this first episode.
You did Toronto. It's Toronto Ultra, the Merk and Maven podcast. Maven.
Thank you. Thank
it
you.
literally is on the graphic. You just read the graphic.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I was trying to move what screen it was on so I didn't look to the wrong side away from my mic like I do sometimes. So I was fixing that, Joe, and then I messed up. But we have a special guest today. It's not just Merk and Maven. We've got Samuel LaRue.
Our first guest.
How you doing, buddy?
Sam Merk and Maven podcast.
Okay, that works. I'm fine with that.
Maven's still last. Maven's still last. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I deserve that. I'm the oldest and ugliest, so I think that's how it should go.
Okay.
Oh.
So how you doing?
But Maeve, you're surviving down there. There's flooding in Dallas.
Okay, if that's where we're gonna start, let's just my life basic.
Wait a second. Why does every episode start with something wrong with Clint's life? It was the best stuff. The suitcase getting lost and saved by Bowman.
Oh, you've been watching? I like that. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so right now, basically, all my life is everything that's weird, other than Copper trying to break down the door right now, has to do with water. So, Sam, I'm gonna tell a story about water. This is from a couple days ago.
Okay.
I'm hanging out with
Warfare too. Tell us about water, baby.
Oh, yeah, water. We're gonna be swimming in gunfights, slide canceling, and scuba gear. So I hang out with Copper upstairs, Sam, and I get five-gallon jugs of water delivered every month because I have a water machine behind me for when I stream. It's just like one of those typical water dispensers.
Yeah.
And I got behind because of traveling. So like 5 got delivered and they were sitting on my porch for like 2 or 3 days. I just hadn't brought them in yet because I was like, I don't know where I'm going to put these things. I hear Copper bark. I look outside. A gentleman and his son, I believe, decided to pull up their pickup truck and they were stealing my waters. They were just grabbing the water jugs and putting them in their truck. I opened the door. I'm like, hello. They both just look at me and just keep on stealing my waters and drove away.
They were thirsty.
You watched them steal your water?
I actively watched them steal my waters.
Oh, so you're a pussy.
Yeah, I guess so. I am.
Okay. And in Texas, bro. Like they're just doing that in Texas. Like, listen, any other household you do that from, I mean, who knows?
Exactly.
That is a scary one. So
that's water story number 1. Is there more?
Well, today, yeah, I am. I believe I'm just a pussy. But today, it's just been raining a lot, and I woke up. Copper let me sleep in until like 9:30. I woke up and I had like 2, you get like the big like Amber Alert type things. There were 2 huge alerts that said flash flooding until noon. I'm like, oh. So I go look around. I walk downstairs. Basically, this room I'm in is like kind of the basement. There's a garage. There's a little stairwell room between, and there's just water all in the stairwell room. So I just, being as smart as I am, I threw a bunch of blankets and towels there, and that's all.
You have a shop vac or no?
I don't know what that is.
A shop vac? That's like you just
shit.
literally.
He's talking about rich shit. Don't listen to this.
No, I'm not. That's literally a like tool in a
so
garage.
You're so wealthy.
He's so rich.
This guy's got a water machine.
You're so
and literally,
wealthy,
that his water just walked off. Like he's fine with it.
Punching down, Joe. Stop punching down.
Copper ran down. It was just drinking in the house floor water. And I'm like, perfect.
You don't need blankets. You have copper.
Yeah.
Can we back up? And you said your dog let you sleep until 9:30? Like he runs your life.
Well,
my dog let me sleep until 9 today too.
Yeah. So usually when Kat's here and Copper will sleep with her, I'll set an alarm for like 7, typically for streaming 7:30. But with him, he's always up by like 8 at the latest. So I was like, I don't even need an alarm. And I woke up and I was like 9:30. Like, wow, he slept. So that was cool. Okay. And then we had some flooding.
My dog's lazy.
Yeah, my dog wakes me up by licking my inner ear.
My dogs love to lick my bald head, my inner ear. They go for it. Yeah, freaks.
So Clint's life still a mess. Sam, off season, what's been going on? Apex,
Dude, Apex, PoE, and a bunch of nothing. It's so enjoyable. This is like, I think this is the first off season in the last like 6 years that I just like hung out. I'm not moving. I'm not changing teams.
It's got to be nice.
Dude, it's so nice. Because normally, like, as soon as Champs is over, you're in everyone's DMs, like, you want to play? Am I getting dropped? And now I'm, like, making videos. He's getting played. He wants to get dropped. I'm just like, now I'm chilling.
Well, you're probably one of the few that, like, I feel like some go stir crazy in the offseason because, like, a lot of COD players, like, only play COD. Or they'll play, like, one other game. But why Sam and I have always got along well is because we like RPGs and other games that we played.
I've been going crazy.
You're probably good.
Oh, I'm chilling. I've been streaming like 8 hours a day. It's been great. Yeah. I played through Outlast yesterday, and then I'm playing through the day before, and then Outlast 2. I've been streaming those.
I saw the Beezy Ghost, dude. He was twisted.
Yeah. So I've been joining the variety, but just hanging out, dude. It's a nice change of pace, not having to worry about anything lately. Been good.
Apex squad, who's the best trio from the 100D side, the LAD side?
I think Ken and Zach are like 1 and 2. They're fucking they're insane. I just started. I hit a wall, bro. I hit a diamond wall.
Yes,
and it's just like Preds and Masters, and I can't keep up with that. I haven't played the game long enough to hit that level. So I think like Ken, Zach, and Cap have been trying to break through diamond. But I've been hanging out in low diamond.
Does it feel weird for you, like when I switched to Apex from only because COD, listen, there are issues with COD, I get it, but the best thing about it is it's really just fluid. The movement just feels clean. It's just very smooth.
So fun. When sliding down a hill is pure serotonin.
See, I was like the opposite. When I switched over, it felt like heavy to me. Like the game felt like weighted, and I couldn't get into it. No, I played.
It's very legend dependent for sure.
I tried Jib, but who did I play for the most part? I don't remember.
It's like Bloodhound, Jibby, a lot of those.
I don't remember what
I think I tried the medic one right away. The one that calls
Lifeline.
Yeah, I think I tried that.
That's because you love loot. And I'm actually surprised because that game is all looting. So but the thing is like when you're bad, you just loot for 15 minutes and die your first fight, and then you just go. Dude, you're like, bro.
No, it's unironically like a looting skill curve. Like I'm not even kidding. Like going for like armor swaps or like when you finish a fight, how fast you loot the bag in order to not die in 4 seconds. It's like there's
what a legit like on the ground.
Like
inventory management. It's like an unironic looting skill curve in that game,
which I probably would have been good at because I love that type of stuff when I'm good at it. But it just felt it was just so hard at first. I was like, what am I doing?
That's definitely the hardest part because like you'll win a fight and you'll be standing at the 3 bags for 10 minutes. I don't know what I do.
What does this do? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Then you have like 17 syringes. Like, it's
at one point, tough. I think Joe's like, yeah, you got syringes? Like, yeah, I got 40. He was like, what? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, so we got the whole LA Thieves squad on Apex. I think we have like 3 running squads right now. So that's what we've been on.
Nice.
It's been interesting. I mean, we wanted to have you on. We're going to talk about this year, obviously, but we kind of wanted to start with like sort of the beginning, like just with joining this team, Joe, right? Like the transition over.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the first thing for me, I want to start probably Vanguard because that's probably where most people listening now want to hear about LA Thieves. I guess you were with Surge for a couple of years.
You guys were ass.
So bad.
Honestly, not the best time probably for you. A lot of online, which I think there's the graphic of like your earnings, like online versus LAN.
That had to be incorrect. There's no way.
Maybe not.
I've been playing for 8 years. There's no way I made $4,000 online. Like it's not possible.
That's okay.
I'll take it. But wait. I will push the narrative that I'm much better on LAN though. I will take the advantage.
Well, I will say you've always been one like more of a you've wanted to like LAN a lot more. I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You're much more vocal. But I guess coming into this year, was LA Thieves was that it? Like as soon as you got the call, that was it. Number one.
Yeah, I think. I didn't even get another offer, actually. I think that was just like the consensus from everyone. Like, I legitimately don't think that there was another landing spot for me. Like, when I was talking to Eric right before I signed, he was like, I need in writing right now that you are not sketching because we are all in on you. And I was like, okay. Like, there was no like other team, literally. It was just from LA or from Surge to here. And that was it.
Cool.
I guess I would have thought you probably had more options, or I guess I would have thought it was like a difficult decision. But
usually once the message probably flows between the teams,
it gets out. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was.
I just think everyone knew there was no other way that I would go anywhere else.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, with Black Ops 4 and everything, that kind of makes sense. You're probably happy to be back. All right, then start of the year. I mean, Kickoff Classic goes pretty well for you guys. I think you guys like get top 4 single limb. And then after, I don't know, kind of roller coaster, stage 1 and stage 2 aren't probably your best. I guess a big question for me during those first couple of stages, that's when Ken's on second AR. Like, do you felt like you guys were that bad, or did you feel like you guys were just a couple of mistakes at the tournaments away?
I think it was definitely a snowball effect. I think we were in a decent spot, Major 1. I think I had like a pretty tough event. I think like a 0.8. So I attributed that event. We also got reverse swept by FaZe. So like we were playing well. We were playing teams tight. Even when we went 0-5 in stage 2, we lost like 3 game 5s.
Guess what? 0-5? Oh.
Yeah, we went 0-5 stage 2. And then we've got like reverse swept in stage 2 as well online. So the games were very close, but I think it was a snowball effect mentally, and our practice just became horrible. Like we saw the 0-5, but like you don't really think about how close the games are. You just feel losing over and over and over and over again. So I think it was a cascade. Our scrims really were not going well. We were getting body slammed by like literally everyone, like not even keeping up with like middle of the pack teams. So it just got worse gradually. And it started to get a little bit better at stage 2 major. We had a great win against New York. I went 0 and whatever the hell on Bocage against OpTic. We beat them. We did. So there was some glimmers of hope. But right after we lost in Major 2, Ken was like, look, I'm going to switch to a sub. I think it will help our pace a lot. I think it will help our comms, because that was a major problem as well. Because Ken and I were the most vocal on the team. So him and I being much slower traditionally, like as AR players, like the lanes and the communication of like how to flow around the map, because obviously your subs are moving a lot more. That information wasn't being relayed as well as it could have been. So we were super slow, and the pace was off. So Ken was like, look, I'm going to switch. I think it'll help. And there was like that month period where it was pretty rocky. I think we were where we were before, like top 6 to like top 8 range.
Yep.
And then the Pro-Am came around and we really turned it around. I think that's when like things started to click. Ken was getting a little bit more comfortable. We were taking really good series. We were back to like where I wanted to be online in terms of practice. Like we were beating the teams we were supposed to beat, and we were like keeping it close with like FaZe, OpTic, whatever. And then after Pro-Am is when we skyrocketed, obviously.
Well, I guess it's funny to me because like I got a bunch of arguments with people on Twitter about like who the best team was during the regular season, because my argument was it was FaZe. They got all the second places.
Yeah, it was FaZe.
100%. I think it is idiotic to argue against that for the regular season. Yeah. But there were people that were arguing it was you guys, and they were saying that. Yeah, exactly. They were saying that like mid champs and you just won Major 4. I'm like, yes, I understand. They're clicking now, but you don't remember like how bad it was.
I mean, recency bias in COD runs rampant.
Oh, it's wild, but like it was bad at its worst. Like you said, 0-5. So I guess I just want to know, like, all right, fans, you're with OpTic, you've been with 100 Thieves, like you know how crazy the fan bases can be. A lot of them were coming at your guys' throats, at Cap, at Eric, whatever, about changes.
Yep.
Did you guys? Was a change ever considered?
I thought I was getting dropped. Wholeheartedly. Like I thought I was off. Like I'll get into it later, but I had a conversation with Cap after we won champs actually, and I got his thought process on it. But I wholeheartedly thought I was going to get dropped after Major 1, or not Major 1, Major 2. I was playing really poorly, and I think it was a lot of like maybe I was in my own head a little bit about it, and random side tangent, but 100T has like a really good like esports like not psychiatrist but like therapist.
Cool.
So I was talking with them a lot. And it really like turned my mental around. That's when the team started to turn around as well. So that was good. But I wholeheartedly thought I was off the team.
You've always struggled with online, so
yeah. Have them on retainer for online COD. No, but I was struggling a lot mentally. I thought I was going to get dropped. And then when I didn't, I kind of saw that as like I knew it was my own wake up call that I survived not getting dropped. If that makes sense. Like a lot of times in COD, players say that they wish they would have got approached before the roster change, if that makes sense. Like, yo, you like if you don't pick it up, like you're in danger of being off the team.
Yeah, kind of like a warning, like, hey man.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
So I don't know if you're slacking off,
that.
like, but it's sort of a because a lot of the times you just get dropped, you're like, what the hell?
What the hell? Yeah,
exactly. And I've always thought too, like I've had a couple of situations where I'm gonna just be like, listen, dude, like we want to win or be better. You've been slacking off in practice or this and that.
Like just give the player the opportunity to turn it around. Whereas like it's very like 98% of the time it's just like you're gone. So I viewed not getting dropped as like that wake up call for me. So that's when I kind of started talking to our therapist a little bit more, like going through the mental aspect of things, because I've really never been bad. Like you guys have casted my COD for fucking years now. I've never been
individually.
Bad.
Yeah, individually now.
So I'm saying I've never struggled individually.
You've been like top 2 AR basically always. I mean,
so when I was bad at the beginning of this game, it was like uncharted territory for me. I had to navigate like how to actually improve as a Call of Duty player, as opposed to like just being good. It's as stupid as it sounds. It's just like
no,
I've never actually struggled before. So. That was a huge hurdle for me personally, just trying to figure out how to go about practice and how to help my team while also helping myself. And I think that where I fucked up was I was so concerned with our team's performance that I was like neglecting my own, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And the way that my mental was turned around was like, look, if a rising tide lifts all ships, that's just like how I'll use the analogy. So once I started focusing on myself a little bit more, worrying about like personal performance, as opposed to like, oh, we're losing every map, or we're not winning the series we're supposed to be winning. It was like, yo, I went positive here. Like I made good plays here, here, and here. It's like once I kind of started focusing on that, our team got fucking instantly better. So that felt really good personally for the mental aspect of things, for sure.
Well, I guess I just want to know too if it was like a part of it. At least Joe and I kind of thought this year it may have happened more. Like, listen, you guys always complain about whatever title it is. Like that just happens.
Man,
it's the cycle, right? Like, this year. So we don't need to sit here and just shit on Vanguard, but this year has had a lot of legitimate problems when it came to the competitive side. Like, did you? Was it for you like a? I don't know. I feel like some players just sort of the game's ass in this way and just don't put in the effort they need to, and somehow you have to find a way to like kind of power through that.
I think I was very much in that headspace in Modern Warfare because that was the first like iteration of this style of COD.
Yeah.
And I think now I'm just like, look, this is the hand we're dealt.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna suck it up and do my fucking job. And that definitely helped a lot. Like I think even Tyler, his first tweet after they lost Grand Finals was like, yo, fuck Vanguard, this game's over. So like he obviously hated the fucking game. He's not gonna get on every day and want to get better.
Well, I thought that was FaZe's problem from the get-go, dude. Like
the way they were I think that was a lot of teams'
I was like,
problem.
dude, they definitely they hate it so much they're not working hard. Like
exactly.
100%.
And I think that's another reason why we're so good is our team just enjoys practicing together, playing together, being in the competitive environment. So we'd show up every day, regardless if I'm playing Bocage Hardpoint, and we would try to improve and we would try to get better. And we would never look at it like, fuck, we lost Vanguard.
That's us with Warzone. I just get up for the guys, honestly.
Yeah, so exactly. So like I show up to practice every day, like in the right headspace, the right mindset, trying to improve, where it's like, oh, I gotta go play Vanguard today. It's like I never had that. And I think that was like a mental edge, albeit I don't know how big of a mental edge, but it was definitely there over other teams.
And then kind of like what you were talking about, sort of you focusing on the team instead of yourself. Have you had that before, or because like you were back with LAT, you wanted you wanted to win again?
Absolutely.
Was that it? Like just sort of,
oh dude,
I want to be back at the top.
I would. It was a very strange dynamic. Like obviously, I've been on a struggling Seattle for 2 years. Like people were telling me to retire, telling me I was kill whoring, past my prime. Like I don't know how to win anymore. And I'm like, at this point, I started to feel those things because like if that's all you read all day, then like obviously it's going to start to creep in at some point. So once I got off of that and joined LAT and saw my roster and the potential and winning and all that stuff, it felt like I had to win. Like there was no other choice. Like I had to not only prove to all the morons out there telling me I'm horrible, but like to myself that like I should still be playing. I shouldn't retire. Like I need to continue to play. So obviously the Major 4 win was like my personal triumph. I think a lot of people talked about my reaction after the series ended, Grand Finals, where I was just like sitting there, and it felt like I use the analogy. It's like getting your back cracked after like sleeping on concrete. It's just like that instant pressure relief. So it was a huge personal triumph for me. It felt obviously fucking incredible, and it's great to win for Matt. You guys know Matt; he's just psychopath. So that was great, but that was like my win, if that makes sense. The London win and the Anaheim win in 2019 were obviously for the organization. That was very much for 100 Thieves, but the Major 4 one was for me. And then Champs, obviously, is Champs. It's the best thing in the world. So definitely proving to myself as well as again all the morons that told me that I couldn't win anymore. It felt pretty good for sure.
Before we talk about like the win and everything that goes with that, I guess Joe and I have talked a lot about this. Like there's some titles in the past where late in the year a game kind of clicks for a team. Like I think Indian Black Ops 3, United Black Ops 4.
That's how it always goes. The team that wins the event before Champs tends to win Champs.
Empire started to really figure out MW a bit at the end. Like you could just tell they were a step ahead. Like you could literally see it. Like they just knew how to play the game better. I guess I'm curious with you guys. Was it that, or sometimes on the map it didn't like seem like you were doing anything special? It just looked like you were just commenting well and playing together. Like that's what it looked like. Honestly, it did.
We could get into it, but it's at its core it is that. I think it's Call of Duty is like very momentum based. You guys are well aware of that. Yeah. So when a team catches fire, they tend to ride the wave. And I think that's what tends to lead to those back-to-backs at the end of the year that's so prevalent in Call of Duty. And I thought after we won Major 4, I was like, yo, if we don't, so backtrack a little bit. Since everyone always thought that the teams that won fell off afterwards, and there was those huge breaks, those month breaks. So you never really had
online.
a way.
I think that was a big part of it. Yeah, like, I think there was a big part.
But there was no way to like maintain that level of like fire, if that makes sense. Like you could go scrim, but like it's not the same as competing in an event, obviously. So I think that the fact that Champs was only 2 weeks after our win, and we had no online like qualifiers or anything like that, I think that was a huge part of it for sure. And every other team didn't get to have that, so hold that.
That's what Joe picked to win. He was just like, it's 2 weeks.
I think it's 2 weeks. I think the momentum of winning and knowing that your system is correct is another thing. It's like when you make plays without having to think about the plays that you're making, like it's just muscle memory. That's when you become a phenomenal team. So that's where we were at Major 4. There was very minimal second guessing or anything like that. So we just started to click, and no one's.
I was gonna say, was there anything? Was there was there something you guys changed where you were like, we're screaming one day and you were just like, this is it? Like we figured it out?
It was S&D and control. I think our hard point
was always good, right?
It was always good. It was serviceable, but I think
it was really great. Yeah.
I think that Berlin was the map that like obviously no one stood a fucking chance on. But I just put it bluntly. But the other 2 game modes were what won us these events. Like we went, I think like 6-2 at Major 4, and the only team we lost to was New York in S&D, and then same at Champs. We went like 6-1 or something like that. So, and both of those had 2 bow cages, which we don't play. So, I think that like having the ability to fall back on an S&D and a control, like having complete confidence in those, even if we did lose a map 1, which we tended to, we lost Tuscan to FaZe twice, where we just immediately bounced back. So having that momentum stealer from a map 1 loss is huge. And then obviously if you take that into control, which no one was fucking with us on either, we're up 2-1. So either we 3-0 or we're up 2-1. So it's like it's very good to have that confidence in an extended series as well.
I want to hear quickly before we like get into kind of the Champs Run. I guess I just want to know, because from the outside look again, when Shane joined, listen, Cap was under fire a lot, right? For this and that, even though we all kind of know here, it's not Cap's fault when things go wrong. But like,
and he knows COD. He does know COD.
I know how Cap's a phenomenal coach.
Yeah, he is. And like I know we know Cap and we love Cap, but like he's
a fifth man.
If you guys are down though, like you guys are down on yourselves, I guess I don't feel like he's the guy that's necessarily bringing vibes up. Shane, I viewed as someone that can come in.
Cap's more pissed than you.
He's more doubling down on the issue, right? Like he just
absolutely. Yeah, you guys are hitting the nail on the head. Absolutely.
So I figured Shane would kind of, I don't know, be like the good cop in this scenario a little bit. Fire you up, just be vibey. And I'm not saying that's all he did. He was like a cheerleader, but like it had to have helped, I would think.
Oh, it definitely helped. I mean, the major, I think it was Major 3, before we played OpTic, he I think either LA Thieves or the league tweeted out a clip of right before we played. He was like, I want you guys to make everyone leave this venue angry, like right before we played OpTic. And there's just like small stuff like that where it's like Cap doesn't say that stuff.
No, Cap said that too.
Yeah,
I couldn't even see him saying that.
Exactly. So but on the other hand, I think having Shane in the atmosphere, Cap started to throw those like little things in there towards the end of the season, which I always laughed at. But yeah, Shane was, he tried his hardest. I have to say, he was trying. But Shane was very much the morale. But a thing that people really don't know about Shane is that he's so methodical when it comes to improvement. It's fucking crazy. Like he'll come at me with like, yo, we only got 4 nade kills over the course of like these last couple hills. Like, let's try to work on that. If we're breaking in this situation from this side and they like numbers here, we don't hit this pre-nade X amount of times. It's like very small things that I think a lot of people don't know about Shane, which was like crazy to me. Obviously,
I wouldn't realize that. Honestly,
it's like it's fucking crazy. Like we're a percentage of breaking a hill when we're holding with like numbers down. Like I mean, like it got nuts. So he was huge for small stuff like that. But I think he kind of kicked us in our ass a little bit when it came to like VOD and improvement and stuff. We would obviously watch VOD, but he got us on like 3 hours a day for like 2 weeks straight. He made it. My girlfriend cleaned my office, but he made us buy notebooks to go over S&D. Like we would have to write it down. He was like, look, it's better remembered when you write it down. So we're going to fucking write this down.
That's what I do. Yeah.
So he made us get notebooks. We watched S&D. We'd go over it. We have a whole notebook full of S&D stuff. So it was a different approach to practice, but we got better right away.
This is what it takes to win now. Like,
that's what I was going to say. It's crazy that the minute details nowadays, like,
Dude, the amount of stats,
obviously, like even 3 years ago, like, just wasn't a thing. You know, it was coaches and analysts, maybe the start of CDL, and you start to feel their impact. But to this level now, with analysts, multiple coaches, I mean, it is insane.
It's a numbers game, dude.
People are finding. Yeah.
It's getting kind of crazy because it's like, as a player, you can feel tendencies like, oh, we never hold the hill from the back. Like, you can feel it, but when you're like,
It's
yo,
like, why?
98% of the time we break from the back, it's like, okay, we're pretty good at this.
Yeah.
So I think we had one stat. I'm trying to remember. It was like Gav P2 in practice. We were plus like 600 overall, like in points.
Wow.
So it's like our P2s were fucking crazy. But the thing about our P2 on Gav was we would lose our P3 or the P4. So it's like, how do we chain these hills a little bit better? And that's the thing on Gav, which we were actually bad at Gav going into champs. We didn't play it at Major 4 because everyone was just scared of it throughout the course of the season. We were actually bad at the map. If we played it, we probably would have lost.
Dude, that's literally what I was going to say was like, I knew going into champs, they were going to veto Berlin versus you. Like, it just had to happen. Like,
so going into champs, Shane was like, we're getting good at Gav because we are not playing Berlin, which we still played Berlin. I don't know what teams we're doing. But so going into champs, we had to figure these things out. And it was like, yo, we have such a high plus minus on P2. It's like, okay, how do we go about chaining into P4 and stuff like that? And we completely switched the map and we were incredible at it again. So it's like, knowing those numbers and that like crazy finite statistical stuff that didn't exist 3 years ago, like you said, it's incredible to have.
That's awesome. That's unreal. Yeah, I'm just happy Shane's kind of. I mean, I've known Shane forever. It's just like, dude, not to this level, but a little bit different out in London. Had a couple of drinks at the bar.
That was like I think that's the stigma that he has as a player. He's just like a psychopath. But like he came in and he was like, "Yo, let's sit down, and you guys are gonna write down S&D VOD." I'm like, "Oh my fucking."
Well, you answered that like exactly how I was kind of hoping, because I think I just view him as like, I just think good time. Like, Shane's a good time. Exactly. Like I knew he had to have helped in that capacity, but you broke down the side we don't see. So good answer. That was cool.
Well, I think too, to like Shane, I talked to him a little bit. Like, there was always a place for him, type thing. Like, he was with London, but they didn't find success, and I think he was just a guy on the outside. Like, the way Eric kind of told me is he was just kind of like sending notes to Eric, like, hey, you guys should try this. Like, hey, you should try this. And I think Eric was just like,
that was his like audition. Like, it was literally
we're gonna like bring him in,
trying to help out. Because he was supposed to come in a lot sooner, but I don't remember the reasoning.
People always ask how to get jobs in this industry. There's an example of like just going above and beyond, doing
cold emails, dude. Just try.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I mean, he was jobless, right? Like, you were thinking a couple of years with Surge, like, I don't know, I'm trying to compete again. Just that extra effort. People don't realize when you're winning and everything's comfortable, what the other side what is the other side? People are like, it'll never happen to me. It won't happen to me. And then it does. And you're like, I'm not going back to that. It's just it's a big kick in the ass.
And that's what he was screaming at us after we won Major 4. He was like, if you guys aren't going 200%, if you don't think that other teams are trying to catch you right now, like, you're an idiot. So we're gonna go into practice. You guys get one map to bitch about online COD, and we're going back to normal. So there was like
there was bocage too.
Yeah. It was such a bocage.
You just broke down the edge that I thought FaZe always had. Like, well, we'll talk more about them later, but I
no complacency. There was not a beat skipped. We showed up to work the next day and we went to it.
Interesting. All right, let's talk champs. I just want to hear your thoughts quickly. I just thought of this. Match 1, Boston. I mean,
well, I want about the delay. Like, the delay, what did that
The delay sucked. The delay sucked. I feel like we got unlucky throughout the season with delays. I feel like it was always affecting our team in some way. But yeah, the delay was horrible. That's just
how long? It was like 2 hours, right? Like, you had to sit down, then just was down for 2 hours.
We were down at the stage, and then we were backstage for an hour, and then we eventually went up to the PPAs and hung out for another hour until it was working. But the thing about going into match 1 was I wasn't stressed, but I was more worried about Boston than any of our other potential matchups because we had no information on them. We hadn't scrimmed them. We haven't played their new roster. Like, we had no intel whatsoever. And like, we could have like reached out, how are they looking on this map? We didn't do that. So we went in relatively cold and we just kind of played to our strengths and tried to play with what we knew.
So you're telling me you didn't go 200%. It was more like 175%.
Yeah, pretty much. No, because like I'm not gonna name any names, but there's teams like reaching out like, yo, how are these guys looking in scrims? Like, are they better at this map or this map? We didn't do that to my knowledge anyway. Maybe Shane did. So going into the Boston series, it was just we didn't know what to expect, and I think we came out slow. That was like a thing that's why I mentioned the game 2 earlier. It was like such an important thing for us to win because we did start series very slow sometimes in the first map hardpoint, and they took both. Or no, they took the first one. We smoked them on the Berlin, but they came out and punched us in the mouth, which is how you win an early round like that. So hats off to those guys. I think they absolutely giga through the Desert Siege S&D. We had no business winning that, but yeah, Boston played us super tight. And I think we got up and we're freaking out. Everyone was happy after we won. I'm sitting there like, you motherfuckers. Like, there's no way we almost lost this shit.
You would have had to make. Yeah, another run you would have had to make it champs. Yeah.
So definitely a nail biter, but I think those are also a blessing in disguise as well, because you could start the tournament with something like that and be like, all right, everyone, like you could kind of get a morale check, like, yo, we're not where we need to be right now in order to win the tournament. Like, let's kick it up a gear. Or it's like you come out, smoke a team, and you're like, okay, like if we carry this, we're good. So it's a very good way to judge where you start a tournament.
Yeah, I was actually interested because obviously I didn't scrim them much or at all, but
we didn't play them at all.
With what we talked with like Zin, like I mean,
yeah, they were the best team in the fucking game.
Yeah, supposedly they felt like the way their practice was going and scrims were going, they thought they had a chance to win the whole thing. Like honestly,
that's what I was telling Zen, or I was asking Zen after we played. I was like, "Yo, how are you guys looking? Like, what was good and bad maps?" Because I was curious. And he was like, "Dude, we didn't lose a scrim. We beat FaZe. We beat OpTic. We shit on everybody going into this tournament." I'm like, "Yo, shit."
You're like, oh, "Okay, well, we survived that one."
Yeah, literally dodged a bullet on that one, I guess.
Yeah, man. I mean, then going into what you guys kind of handled business versus OpTic. That was a very fast match. I guess Sunday you have a best of 9. Going up against FaZe again. You guys were confident for that, especially coming from winners, right? Because then you got rid of.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
You control the beginning of the series, right? Pretty much when it comes to maps.
You get map 1, and the other team gets 2, 3, 4. But you get good side on it pretty much every respawn. So that's there's small advantages that I think didn't impact as many other teams because we have an auto veto. So like when you come from losers, you're starting out map 1 bow cage. We did it against New York in Major 4. Whereas if you come from winners, we get to veto the maps that we don't want to fucking play. Bow cage, and then against FaZe, I think we vetoed I think it was Tuscan Control or something
Tuscan Control. Yeah,
because I remember Chris talking about before the best of 9. Like I know people miss having like the double series, but he's like, it is an advantage.
I love best of 9s.
Well, I think it makes you show your map pool. Like you have to play everything. Like
if you're gonna win the fucking tournament, you better be the best team at that damn tournament.
That's what I felt. Like you show you can play everything.
I think the winner's advantage thing, it doesn't seem very big because I think it is very case dependent. But for our team, it's huge. So coming from winners felt really good. We get to dictate the early maps in the series, like you said. Starting out on a Gav, just smoked them on the Gav off rip. So that felt really good. And then
and was that intentional picking that map 1? Just because?
Yeah, it was.
I felt like on the outside, if you pick like a Tuscan and they get going and they get hot,
that was a map that they could take off us, and Gav was not. Okay. So we wanted to play a Gav. Like I said, if we had picked a Tuscan and they took it, then it could be a little bit different. And we were also talking about the bow cage S&D where we wanted to put it in the series because we were talking about a potential game 5 because we didn't want it to be game 9, things like that. So you need to. I think we talked to about an hour and a half about the format of
where
the maps
you wanted to put them.
Yeah, and the thing that they started to bring it back a little bit towards the tail end of the series. Like we lost the Burr control, but like when we got there, we were just outright the favorite team. And the fact that we had took so many maps early in the series, we had backloaded it so much that we still had a Berlin hardpoint to go as well. So like if we don't throw those maps, the series obviously like a 5-1 or whatever. But the fact that we had won so many maps early with a cushion on the back end of the series,
hot. They were getting hot.
I was getting pissed on.
control, bro. I was like, it was good.
He auto mantled.
Dude, I don't know. Would you guys have killed him otherwise? Well, you might have, but like I feel like we did auto mantle. They had a shot.
I was screaming, "You kill him now or we lose!" Like run at him, kill him now or we lose.
Yeah,
so
he just jumped up on top of the boat.
Yeah, I was it's like they don't have time. You have to kill him now. Like don't let him finesse. But yeah, I mean the Berlin control I was getting literally shit on. But they definitely started to turn it around a little bit. But like I said, that's why the format is so important of the best of 9 because even the fact that we took the early maps was just a luxury because again we backloaded it so heavy that it was just our favorite maps going into the tail end.
So what? I guess I'm curious. When did you like think we've got this? Because I know for me, even when you're up 3-0,
when we won the series.
It didn't. So not till then. I was curious. Well, I was curious if it ever, because when you went up 4-0 was when I was like, okay, they've won. That's when it hit for me. I was like, 4-0, this is done. So not till it's phased, right? Like I guess
exactly.
you gotta close it.
My whole team was like, yo, like let's fucking go, dude. Up 4. I'm like, no, everyone sit the fuck down. The series is like, I'm not exaggerating how I was talking to them. I'm like, yo, sit the fuck down. Like this series is not over. I don't want any celebration. Like this team has the potential to do what Minnesota did. Like we need to focus up on these maps. And obviously they started to bring it back a little bit, but I didn't think the series was over until it was over. And I think that like if you think otherwise against a team like FaZe, we could have potentially lost that. So
yeah, I was curious. I noticed from the outside looking in, and that's when the 4-0.
What was the last map? Was it Tuscan Search? Was it where Dylan went like ice? Yeah, Dylan was so clutch at that map. That was crazy.
Dude, his round 11 play call was the most big dick shit I've ever seen.
What'd he say?
He was, because normally, like, you guys know how round 11 go. It's like fucking everyone sit in a corner, like do something the last 20 seconds. Dylan was like, I'm jumping out blue, look over me. I'm like, oh my fucking king.
Sure. No problem. No problem.
Absolutely. So,
no problem.
I love that.
You weren't going to do it versus FaZe, but like you guys kind of knew at some point in a best time you probably had to play Bocage, just like Major 4.
Yeah.
Like, were you guys a lot better at Bocage after Major 4? Like, no. Like, I know you meme about it, like Bocage, but you had to have known that it could be an option in a final.
See, the thing about there's only 4 hardpoint maps. So having an auto veto truly isn't that bad. Whereas if there's 5 and you have to be good at 4, it's very I'm so obviously having an auto veto sucks. You don't want one as a competitive Call of Duty team, but I'm thinking throughout the course of the year, it's like, damn, OpTic's good at Bocage, FaZe is good at Bocage, Seattle's good at Bocage, Boston's good at fucking Bocage. I'm like, if we just don't play this goddamn map and just get good at the other ones, we're good. Yeah. And obviously it's like, oh, we still have an auto veto, But every time that we were like, should we try to play this? And I'm like, who are we picking this against? Who are we playing this against? And the answer was always like London. And I'm like, I'm not playing this fucking map. Like, granted, we still showed up, tried to get better. We'd watch VOD on the map. It wasn't like we just chalk it. But I never wanted to play the map against the higher tier teams because it's just pointless.
Well, that's a good point. How much different it is just having one less map, though. Like,
because we have, we had
2 controls. It was a weird year to start.
You can't have an auto veto with 5 hard points. I don't think. I think you kind of fuck yourself.
Because what do we typically? It's like 5-3-5 or 5-3-6 like or something we've had in the past.
5 is like the sweet number because it really helps with vetoes. I think it really
usually like 5-3-5 is usually where we're at.
Yeah, game 3 is usually 3 maps.
Yeah, 4-2,
whatever the hell it is. I guess.
Hello, you guys got anything on the back end? Anything you can put into the game?
London
running a map where an avalanche is going to come down in the middle.
Hey, that map was actually good. I don't want drift slander, man.
It was, except for the whole there's an avalanche.
That's fine.
Yeah,
dynamic map elements are lit.
Yeah, just the middle of biolab, the building drops down.
That's the express train to just.
He was talking about something in Champs on the map. I'm like, Joe, we had an avalanche hit a map. Like, I've seen it all. I'm good.
Yeah, and the map is good.
Well, okay, so I guess listen. You've had a great career. You've won a lot. I know you've had a lot of you just had a lot of top teams. You had like a lot of second places with Slacked and stuff. But you guys you were always.
How bad, Jerry?
You were always competitive, but now that he's out of the backpack, you finally can show what you're truly capable of. But what was like your first when you won? Like, what was just the first kind of thought
when I won champs?
Yeah,
just like, dude, I finally won this goddamn tournament. It was always like, yeah, Octane's a really good player, and then like he doesn't have the ring. Like you can't put him in the echelon of the Alex Slasher, Formal, Clay, like all these guys. But I think now that like. I'm in that conversation. It feels really good personally. That was all I had left, dude. I've done everything fucking else. That was literally the only thing I had left was winning champs. So the feeling is indescribable. I literally couldn't even tell you guys. It was a surreal feeling.
Why is champs different than any other tournament? It's just like, what? Like it's the big one. It's the culmination of the entire year. It's
why
the
is the
gigantic
Super Bowl
prize
more
bowl
important
than a playoff. It's weird because we have
especially now in the CDL format. I think in the past for champs it was more just like it was. Like obviously it was still 32 teams. It was a gauntlet back then. Like it was a long journey.
Joe, it's funny you bring that up because people were trying to compare MC's performance at this champs to Matt and IW, right? Everyone's like MC played 3 series, Matt played 9. So it's like
if you include pool players, gassing up these numbers. Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like the talent is obviously higher. We're not playing plumbers and accountants anymore, but people were like, "Oh, dude, you were certified plumber.
Hey, my man, I cleaned your pipes.
Ooh.
In what way? So yeah, people were talking about that as well. But it's the fact that people try to downplay champs is like not as important as it used to be is just like insane. As I'm winning
it was cool. It was cool to have what it was. I still wish it existed. Don't get me wrong. Like I just thought it was one of the cooler events in esports. But like, it's like we're just skipping the bracket play. Like the fact is, if somebody, people try to diminish like FaZe winning, or it was I'm like, well, you think that FaZe team was going to struggle in pool play? Like what the fuck are we talking about?
It was very rare that pool play actually ended up.
It was rare, and if anything, what I hated,
the only thing was like the bracket met.
Yes, but like I didn't like that because listen, you play the entire year, right? You play this whole year out. You know where you're positioned. To have like this like flop or like weird game. All of a sudden you have like a godlike matchup round one. Like I didn't like that. I like it more to be like, you've worked to structure it here. You've worked for this seeding. Now let it play out naturally. Yeah. So yeah.
OpTic fans are like, we agree, Maeve. We agree with you. Big time. Agreed. You should have ran it earlier. 100%.
Oh my God.
The only one besides that was like Gen G, right? That was like the only big one was Black Ops 4, that Gen G team.
They were like top
three.
We
got last in World War II as well. On OpTic.
Oh yeah. Well, you guys had like that weird tiebreaker scenario.
Yeah, we lost 2-1 tiebreaker. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
another thing about pool play that sucked was the dumbass tiebreakers.
Well, I always when I worked League Ops, I took the fight every year. I just wanted like GSL style, like double limb.
GSL, Gfinity, GSL.
Yeah. I don't, because that shit happened. But anyways, we kind of, obviously now. Here's the interesting question. I mean, Adraza is dude, he is hilarious, dude. Like funny.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, do you care the way he is? Do you just let him rock? Like, do you know? Like now, everyone's gunning for you, right?
It's cliche,
I guess it's world champs.
It's cliche, but Zach is unapologetically himself, and I think that it's not malicious. He's not being the way that he is with malicious intent. He's having fun. As a 21-year-old professional Call of Duty player, just won champs, and as like stupid as that sounds, like he actually means no ill will towards Chris or anyone that he's shit talking. It's literally just the competitive drive in him.
No, he loves it.
He loves COD. He fucking loves COD.
Loves COD. This guy's playing with his girlfriend. I mean, it's literally unmatched.
Dude, having the amount of passion that he brings on the team is like, it's refreshing. Like he shows up every day and just loves getting better and playing COD. So I don't want him to change, and I think that the way that he carries himself, he's just how he is. I have no issue with it. I mean, I think that's what the scene fucking needs is people like Zach.
I've always said we're like the WWE more than anything else, man. Like we need
that's
more
what COD
personality.
Is. It's all personality. COD has always been driven by personality.
We shit on every other esport when it comes to like personality.
Absolutely.
100%. It's like that. My take on it was like, I loved it, but like I also don't have an issue with how like Simp responded because of course, like I love that you stirred up the drama. Yeah. Of course, he's going to respond that way. Now I can't wait for you guys to play. Great,
exactly,
awesome. Like.
The storylines going into the next year are going to be the best that I think the CDL era has so far, for sure.
Well, yeah, soon we're going to get into the roster stuff because it's.
Well, you guys were talking. What you guys don't think there's like a lot of like great like other things that COD Esports has like really dev support and stuff. No. All right, moving on.
So we're cracking jokes now.
The personalities are, you're right, top notch, and the gunny is unbelievable.
That is one thing though that I think is a testament to everything. Is like, regardless of title, regardless of support, regardless of us not getting the basics right, the storylines and the players and the personalities are good enough
to keep it going.
Keep on going. Now,
bro, people love this year. They loved it. I'm like. Yeah, it's. I mean,
the potential.
I've noticed a disgusting correlation between the amount of hatred that pro players have for the game and how much love that fans have for the game. Like Modern Warfare is so reviewed like fondly, but it was just the worst fucking game ever.
See, that's why I sort of listen. I used to always be on the side of just getting pissed off when we didn't get support, or pissed off when we didn't have this. I guess I just kind of got to the point where I just don't care because we don't have the power to really do anything. And if it gets better,
I'm indifferent at this point.
Yeah, just indifferent. But I also like I almost
now, that's why
I'm
old and don't.
I would rather a massively popular title that is huge just with the average player base than I care about it being the perfect competitive game at this point. Like I'd rather a ton of people playing it and a chance for new eyes in the league than I care about anything else at this point.
Well, it's just the formula. The formula of COD is not competitive. Like I was actually, funnily enough, talking to kind of my girlfriend about it because she was like, "Yeah, every other professional esport or successful esport, the game is what you play competitively. League of Legends, Counter Strike, Valorant. It's like you log on, you know the rules, you know the guns, you know why things are the way they are. You log on to COD, it's like why are they only using these 2 guns? Why are they only playing these maps? Why are they only playing these game modes? So like in itself, it's not a competitive game. So it's very hard to build a competitive fan base for sure.
100%.
Well, okay. Now listen, we're going to talk, Joe. I think we're going to go to Rostermania soon. We're going to like sort of chat about all the stuff going down. But I guess I just want to hear from you. You said you're just like chilling. It's sort of great not have to deal with it. Just watch it all from the outside.
Oh, it's so great. See, I actually I have intentionally stayed out of the circle of like intel and leaks and stuff like that because I want to see what fans happens. Like what happens. So like when OpTic tweets that they're dropping Ender and Brandon, I'm like, oh my fucking god. like I'm not sitting here like waiting for the tweet knowing hours in advance. I saw that shit and I was like, what is happening? And then a day later, then JK. But nonetheless, like my reaction is genuine. So I think that also helps for content a lot because in the past, to out myself a little bit, I have known about things, but I've had to still make videos on it. So it's like very hard to spin the narrative a little bit. But now it's like I'm so out of it that like I can make genuine content and be like, I wonder what's going to happen. Like, is this an option? Is this an option? So it's,
I always hate
it helps
that,
a lot.
When people like ask questions and we're streaming or something, like they want to know.
You
stuff.
know
It's
the
like,
answer, but
yes,
you can't.
exactly. It's like how do I talk about this when I know what's going to happen? It's like annoying to. It's very hard to be yourself and genuine when you're just like worried you're gonna like slip up or say something incorrect.
At this point, I don't give a shit. So like, I'm scorned. I don't care.
Just here for a good time. Yeah, you're just gonna
like give me 5 gifted and I'll tell you what you want.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just bait them out.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for Vanguard. We're just gonna go to your career a little bit, just some fun stuff. Stuff from your past. I think a lot of people, especially when I'm in the chat or like on Twitter, people always want to know how you're just so even when I played with you, you've always just been relaxed, sitting back.
It's fucking weird.
Good.
It's fucking weird.
I guess when did that how did that happen or why did that start?
It's just a personality trait. I don't know.
Is it?
It's different. It is different this year. I will say. I think that this year. Oh, have you guys heard our listening from Champs?
No. I'm not saying that's not there. So how you sit, like your whole like body language, you're just like it looks like MC's got his foot up. Like you both look like you're just chilling, man. Like MC's is crazy, right? I saw his foot there. I was like,
I don't want to be like injured, like with in the monitor. Like that looks very uncomfortable.
Yo, just playing, like CS and Val guys, bro. Dude,
he's
literally
playing on
there.
Independent in real life. Like I'm chilling. Like it's just comfortable. I don't fucking know.
Well, I guess though, just like your personality trait though, even like I don't know, like competition. Usually people get fired up.
Yeah.
Like I'll get just like how you've always been. Like that's it.
Yeah, I'm very nonchalant when it comes to competition and stuff. But there have been times this year. I don't know if you guys have watched our comms video from Champs. Mm-hmm. I was going fucking crazy, and I didn't even realize that much in the moment because of the adrenaline that was flying through my body. But in that OpTic series, I was saying some fucking heinous shit. I mean, like, dude, I was on like Gab P1 just screaming, they're flooding, they're brain dead, they don't know what they're doing. Like, these guys are world's worst. Like, I'm fucking running at these morons. Like, I'm like, dude, it's like, holy shit. When I watch it outside of how I was feeling in the moment, it's like, yo, I'm kind of that guy. But let's go. Like, I think, Joe, if you remember...
I was a murderer, though. I was actually
you guys that casted us versus FaZe in Black Ops 4 for the knockout series when I got that 1v3 and I was just like, and I was just chilling. And people always ask me, like, how do you not react in those moments? And it's just like, I don't know. It's just how I am. I don't have like an answer for you, really.
Well, I didn't know if you and Crowder had like that 1v3 and stuff. And you guys are both just like...
I mean, I think it's the same thing as Clay. Clay's just hype. That's just how he is. So I think it's not really like a way.
I guess I wasn't sure if it was something like you just learned, right? Like,
no, I think that's just how I am.
Watching someone else, kind of you wanted to mimic it, or if it was just the way it was. Okay.
I think, but to expand just a tad bit, I think it helped a lot this year because I took on the reins of a little bit more of a leader this year than I have in the past. So I think being able to maintain like a level of calmness while my 3 teammates are just doing whatever the fuck they want. And making sure that we're all level-headed enough was definitely helpful this year for sure.
Cool. I love this. I love this trio. Slack, Classic, Octane, the trio.
Yep.
Listen,
Hey, we were nasty.
I want to know.
For a Dynasty era COD, we were nasty.
Yeah,
Okay.
you were good at some stuff.
I
yeah.
want to ask you about Search though. Like, I gotta ask about Search. Like, were you guys genuinely just like that bad at Search? Well, maybe not like you individually, like just as a
they were
team.
that bad, but
We're
like
pretty
how?
bad.
But did you not practice at all? Did no one just
We
really
didn't play
care?
it. We didn't
no
play
one
it
played
that
it back
much.
then, right?
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't practice. Dude, we play S&D every day.
I feel
this
like
year.
there was wagers, like I guess knowing like Nick, he's just kind of like, I just want to play eights and run forward.
Yeah.
Wait,
type
are you
kinda
guys actually finally streaming Search?
Oh, we played it 4 days a week this year.
Yeah, that's been
We play usually we'll do a normal scrim first.
I didn't know that finally switched because I was bitching about that.
We do.
For years.
We play a normal scrim first set, and then we'll usually play a best of 9 for the second set.
What year did that start?
This year.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say it had to have been recent, Joe, because I remember like
I
bitching
think
about this
teams were playing. Teams have been doing that. Previously, like Cold War. I think Cold War is like when it actually started, but this year is like the norm to book like a best of 9 second set.
So I love that because it always pissed me off when a team was bad at Search. I just knew they weren't playing it whatsoever.
Yeah. We played a lot this year. But to answer the question, I think that at least for me personally, early in my career, when I would switch to S&D, my mindset would just completely shift on how to like play. So I would be a lot more timid and stuff. So that's why I was bad early, and I think now I got a lot better. Granted, I dropped double donuts this year, but I think Modern Warfare and Cold War, and even the beginning of this year, I think I was actually insane at S&D. Like Cold War, I was like top 5.
I remember last year. Yeah.
So I think multiple
years
you had a good KD. Like even the years you were bad, like you'd be losing, but you'd have like a 1-2 in S&D, and I'd be like, oh well.
Yeah, I've just always had like a stigma attached to me that I'm a little bit worse at S&D than Respawn.
Oh,
which
just
is
like your
true,
team, not you. It's just that all those teams.
Those guys.
You got a 70% win rate in both respawns, and then you'd have a 30% search win rate. That's just what it was.
True.
Yeah,
you won tournaments winning like 2 searches, dude.
Dude, we won London in Black Ops 4 with like 1 S&D win.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a .69 in S&D at London. We won that shit.
That's amazing.
It just blows my mind to think about how like, I guess how good those teams could have been if you just somehow got.
It's my team now. We lost 3 S&Ds in 2 events.
Yeah. If you were like a 50-50 search team, it'd be this. Yeah. Like you just dominated.
I just have Zach play calling with the utmost confidence. Like the way that he calls things, you would literally think the round is fucking unlosable.
Some of them are.
I love that.
I love
some of them are. He's like, I got 3. I got 3.
It's so funny. Like on a little side tangent, like our S&D improved so much because we actually stopped. Like, you know how you start around like, yo, let's do this B hit. Like we'll have our setup. I think we completely abandoned all, like we had like obviously like who plays the sites or whatever, but I think we actually abandoned all preset strategy and like how we want to play. And it's literally like, yo, Dill, I'm going to do this. Like come help me here kind of thing. As opposed to like, yo, I'm going to go to this truck of prey and this cross for X amount of seconds and I'm going to go give it up. And like, I think that was something that we got way better at was just our situationals, which was killing us at the beginning of the year.
Just playing a lot more info based.
Just loose, bro. We're just playing loose around the map. Like, yo, let's just fucking group hit this. Like it wasn't as like stiff as it was at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
And then you have Dill just calling out like jump out blue, look over me. So.
Well, yeah, because you can tell like once the game kind of stops, that's when like a player like Draza would literally just like you kind of know where people are set up, or that's when your VOD review comes in. That's when the game is easy. It's like as long as you're not down a man or two in the first 15, 20 seconds, you're probably all right. You probably figure it out. I mean, I love asking this question to anyone. Was there ever like a team that almost happened that you wish happened, or a team you wanted to join that was close to happening?
The biggest one that got away.
The biggest one that got away. Well, we almost had Simp in Black Ops 4. Does that have to be me joining, or can it just be a roster?
No, anything.
We almost
anything involving you.
Yeah, we almost had Chris instead of Preston in Black Ops 4.
Think about how history would be different right now. These past couple years, how different it could have been.
We passed on him because we couldn't. We were trying to make the change, I think, in like December. I don't remember the exact time frame, but he couldn't. Yeah, exactly. And it was like months. It was like 2 or 3 months. So there had to be like a weird buffer period. So we just grabbed Preston because they didn't qualify. So we almost got Chris in Black Ops 4. It was supposed to be me, John, Seth, and Krim in World War II for the OpTic roster. That was what it was supposed to be. But John like backed out at literally the 11th hour. What else?
John. Okay.
What else?
And then walked into London, dropped the 1-4.
It's always crazy to hear. I mean, I'm sure it happens every year. Like one phone call away, or
Pierce almost joined my LG team in IW. If you guys remember that whole debacle where he benched himself and stuff.
Oh, I do.
That almost happened. Yeah. So we were supposed to drop Nato,
right?
Yeah, he went to FaZe. We were supposed to drop Nato, and then we won Anaheim. But we could have got Pearson and IW. That team would have been fucking crazy. We were so good. I think those are probably like the top 3 off the top of my head.
Okay, cool.
No, I like that question. I'm curious more just like kind of all time for you as you've been. What year did you really pop up for me? Like AW?
AW is when I went pro. Yeah.
Right, AW. Yeah. So you've had like.
Oh, the Empire team. Chat just went big. Sorry to cut you off. The Empire team. You're good. Yeah, it could have been. Was it me? Shotzi wasn't on the team at the time, so it would have been me, Ender, Alec, Dylan, and Kyler in Modern Warfare.
On Seattle?
On Empire.
On Empire.
That would have been wild.
Shotzi wasn't in the picture yet, but anyway, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good. I just want to know, like, you've had pretty much, I mean, since you've set foot in this thing, you were like in the top AR combo for a long time. Like, I don't know, top 2, 3 basically at all times. Like your formal Octanes, Clay, like all those wild matchups you've had over the years. I don't know. I guess I want to know, is there one that like is toughest to play against, or is that even something you think about? Because I know it's just not like a main AR versus main AR thing. You know, you've got subs flying.
I've always viewed it as a mini game, though. I have always viewed the AR matchup as a mini game. Yeah. In terms of like
that's interesting itself.
Yeah.
I don't think it's tough. Enjoyable was formal. Matt, like we've never actually talked about it, but Matt
your
and I
IW year was my favorite thing ever. You two fighting each other, I loved it.
I think my IW year was my favorite year to this date. I think obviously Black Ops 4, but I think I in terms of like playing against Matt was so fun because, like I said, I've never talked to him about it, but we had this unspoken rule: if we see each other, it's to the fucking death. There was never like, yo, I'm gonna play my life. Like this is a poor child. It was literally every time Matt and I saw each other, from the moment that I went pro to the moment that he retired, it was to the fucking death. And that was some of the most fun that I have had playing COD. And I view every mid-AR matchup as a minigame, like I said, so I know the players' tendencies very well. And I think that is one thing that keeps me at the top, is I'm so fast to recognize players' tendencies and like break-offs and like how they approach gunfights and stuff like that. So I'm very on top of my mid-AR like counterpart most of the time, and I know how they're going to play. So playing against Matt was always fucking fun, dude. Especially
I feel like I talked about that because I talked about that a lot casting it, because it almost, even though I didn't know that's what it seemed like. Like when you guys were on the map, you battled. And like the reason it was so good is because before you like rose to that, Matt was the guy, you know, I obviously was quite far in his cheeks when I came over from Halo with him, and I was gassing him and stuff. And, you know, everyone knows Formal was my guy. And like, he was, what I always say, he just didn't miss a bullet, right? That was his thing. He just didn't miss. And like, then there was you who also didn't miss. So you guys would fight. It was just like, who beamed the fuck out of the other? Like, it was just, I don't know.
And then the last 3 months, like Austin would pop up, like Clay was always around.
I was about to say Austin would always turn up towards the end of the season, like IWBO3. But yeah, playing against different ARs is it's weird for me because you play like against Lamar or Alec, who are much more like methodical. You know where they're going to be, and there's certain play styles, like, you know, they love their fucking spots. Or Zinni, not Alec, excuse me, Lamar and Zinni, like, you know where they're going to be. But you play against like Alec, Austin, Clay, like they tend to mix it up a little bit. They'll catch you off guard from time to time, but it's still to the fucking death. So
Formal didn't know he was a main AR half the time. I thought like he was just like,
yeah, he does. I mean, that's why he was so good at IW, because he played like a flex player. He just ran out of paper.
I'm taking a fight.
Yeah, but definitely Matt to answer your question.
That was awesome to hear though. To the death. That's cool.
All right, well,
especially like while running on resistance, like P1, just like up in the air at the same time, battling. Same angle, just fucking going at it like an anime fight.
I love it.
That was the NV4, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
NV4.
Still, that's like top 5 for me, bro. I love that gun.
Well, I said, well, what was the? Oh, never mind. I literally was just mixing titles in my head. You want to get to Rostermania?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I'm not involved. Let's do it.
Yeah, no, you just get to hang out as we kind of talk through stuff. Where do you want to start? I think we're going to cover some big ones.
Yeah, I think it started last week really with NYSL, in which like the news kind of broke. Paul's off the roster, Crim's looking for a squad. All of this drama came out. And I guess it was kind of surprising to hear that team was kind of in shambles, because they just got to a final in Major 4. And as soon as I heard that, I was like,
the fact that they made that final in the way that the way their camp was going is so typical.
No,
way,
100%.
the way they turned it down, like from what we heard on the flank, the fact that they made a final is so respectable.
Well, that's what this stuff I'll always say. Like we don't see even we're closer to it than fans, but like you can say it's them doing this on the map and this, but we don't know what the relationships are like or the dynamics. So we have no idea what the day-to-day is like.
Wouldn't you think a run like that would just be like, wouldn't that just like mend it all together?
Winning solves all problems.
Well, they didn't win.
We're playing well,
they got the champs, right? Like I don't know.
The
I just would figure
run.
like, okay, I told you we could do this, whether it's Crim saying this or they got the champs. But I mean, it just felt like it never got fixed.
Yeah.
I guess
it seems like they were on the trajectory that we were since Pro-Am, I think. I think they were on a very similar like upward trend. Like obviously they won Pro-Am, but it felt like they were right with us from Pro-Am to champs.
Well, they beat you Major 4, right?
Yeah, in
winners final.
Yeah,
winners final. Yeah, I guess really interesting for me is probably like two parts. I mean, the Crim thing. Do you just think it's sort of like a Pat situation where obviously he's tough to play with for some people? Like if you don't know Crim, you don't know the kind of guy he is. When you're when you're one of the best in the game, you can kind of do whatever the hell you want, right? And in the most winningest player, you can do whatever the hell you want. But then as time goes on, it just feels like he's been tougher and tougher to play with, sort of burning bridges. It seems like he's kind of worried that he's not going to end up on a team.
I think it's going to be up to him, though, because I think he could go to Paris right now and play. But is that a situation? Is he going to play because to play, or is he going to play to win? And I think he's going to play to win. So I think if he can't be on a contending roster, he'll retire.
I think it's sort of he's hit the point now where it's like kind of Clay got a couple of years ago, where it's like you got to hope you get the right young players and maybe something clicks. Like when was like the one where it stood out to me? I guess like kind of the United year, like when Clay was off of a top team. He of course got blessed with what Simp has become, and things work out. But like it's just going to be harder now, I think, right? Like he's not going to be just on the top.
He doesn't have the relationships to do it.
Well, what was interesting? So we were both like Joe and I were talking about. We were worried about like the teammate thing because he has maybe been a bad teammate in the past, like difficult, but like he put like a twit longer out where he basically said, I thought I was an incredible teammate this year, but a below average player. He went through how he was like talking to teammates about their goals every week and how to improve, like sitting down with them all.
Yeah, it was very much like a my team versus the world mentality.
At least from him, it seems he was really working to be a better teammate. I guess I don't know how it came across to the teammates, if that is what.
Well, that's kind of what Joe said. It takes a certain personality trait to be able to play with Ian. I think at the highest level, because Ian is very eccentric.
And I think
like that.
I think outside of the game, that's fine. But if you're still speaking to players a certain manner in the game, that's when people lose full. Like that's when it's like, if someone is immediately just like after a map loss, start blaming people. I don't know, start throwing negativity out.
Yeah.
That's when it's just sort of.
That's kind of where we were at after Major 2.
I'm kind of done with this, right?
That's where our like comms became like very much that after Major 2. So that's why like we needed a mental reset for sure. It impacts morale a lot more than a lot of players realize. I think like if you lose like if you hit one of those, and it's just like okay. So yeah, I think back to the Crim thing. I think that it takes a special personality to be able to utilize Ian in the best way possible. I think that's why like the OpTic roster was so good, because I think Damon and Ian bounced very well off each other, and Matt is very nonchalant about things. So I think that if Ian can be utilized in the right way, then obviously you win 40 times. So.
It's gonna be. I also don't know if I love him as a main.
He's not a main. He's never been a main. Ever.
He's like too fast.
He's been a flex player forever. Yeah. I hate the main gimmick that he's on. It's so annoying.
Okay,
he plays main like Matt, but like Matt got away with it because it was Matt.
Crim is not a main AR player, and he never has been. The fact that he's ran it the last like 2 years or whatever is criminal.
Yeah,
I like that.
No pun intended. No pun intended.
No, I hopefully he figures out. Hopefully he finds a team. I think I don't know. Yeah,
it's up to him. I genuinely I think it's up to him.
Okay, then the HYDRA thing. Okay, so Sam, I don't play anymore, right? I'm not playing against some of these guys.
Yeah.
we're talking. I mean, the money, the numbers are out. This guy is
500 racks.
This guy, his team, like they're making his agent a head coach. Like it is, and New York's all in on this guy.
Yeah.
Right? Is he that good? Like I don't know, because I know I'm not playing. Like when you're playing him, like
I'm trying to give you guys like an analogy.
I think I can do it. I'm gonna ask you this.
Okay.
Is he more okay? So a BZ will drop a 1-2, but you see how BZ plays. But is he more like how Seth has been at sometimes in the past, where it's like a little bit,
Yeah.
like for the 1-2, a little bit slower type thing? That's the way I view it.
I think that's actually perfect. I think I would attribute his play style more to Seth than Tyler. I think that's a perfect way to put it for sure.
See, Joe, I'm not a total idiot.
I think he's more about like though. Like I want to.
He just needs like the ultimate green light. Like go do whatever you want. We'll play around you kind of thing. I think that's when like he will flourish.
He's not going to be like the hyper aggressive, easy in your face type player. Like,
no. I think that's what Kiz was doing, and that's why their dynamic was super good.
Okay. Well, that's just like my thing of like, is he that good? Because like this team,
he's crazy. Yeah, he's
that good. Okay.
Yeah, he's very. I don't think he's 500K good. I don't think a lot of people are 500K good. I think there's like two people that are 500K.
I think the problem with like that type of sub versus, let's say, an BZ or a Kismet, like that play style, like you just can't. There's very few people that can do it and do it well and still play well. I feel like everyone wants that right on their team. Everyone wants someone that's going to bash their fucking face against the wall over and over and over again. If you're the type of player like HYDRA, I guess you really just need that right pairing. I guess I feel like it'd be harder to find the right thing that works.
I think we'll probably we'll touch on it, but the rumored Minnesota roster, I think, does what you're talking about perfectly. I think that like their dynamic, which is like always the sub duo that you want. You want the one, not headless, but like hyper aggressive. When they're on, they're a 1.2 and the series is over player. And then you have the other ones like a little bit more slow, more ratty, like playing their corners a little bit more. Like Preston Tyler, like it's like Dylan Ken. It's when that dynamic is achieved, that's when your sub duo is like the best that it can be.
That's what I always thought about Seth. I didn't feel like Seth was like kill whoring. I always thought Seth just valued his life.
Seth's just slower than.
And in some games,
Seth and Shots is a good example too.
So some games it'll hurt you, and some games it's great. It really just depends on the title, kind of. But okay, so
yeah, I was just curious. Is there like a New York Rumour roster? Or is it just like HYDRA?
I don't
supposedly just
I don't
Kismet,
think there's
kind of just chilling.
I have heard absolutely fuck all about
Zero.
New York. Yeah.
Okay.
All I know is Kiz is still on the team. That's all I got.
Okay, they're just waiting for moves. Moving on from New York, Ultra, Dance leaves. Seems like Cammy's elsewhere. Scrappy and one more. I mean, I guess we start with Bance and Cammy.
Yeah, Scrappy, Jamie, Toby right now.
Listen, I don't know what's going to happen with Bance. I'm not going to do a whole swan song here, but I just love Bance as like a person and a player. And
I love Ben.
He is someone tweeted out the other day, sort of like who's one of the best all time to not win a champs final. And Bance, someone put Bance on that. Really, yeah. I mean, he
has 2 second places, right?
Yeah, and I'm hoping with Splice and with Ultra. And when you think of Bance's career, especially, I mean, let's just be blunt. EU Kata's got fucking shit on for the last 10 years. Like they for the most part, they have not been on top. They don't have the same player base we do. Most of the top players are here. That is what it has been. And Bance, despite that, has been so successful. And I guess I hope this isn't it, because I really want him to somehow win. I just don't know if it's possible at this point. But if he is done, I guess I feel like he's the type of player that I hope finds a home doing something within this, because he's just a genuine dude. I like Bance a lot.
I'm a big Benjamin Bance fan.
You guys wish they would have kept the roster?
I don't think so. I think the experiment was over. I think the experiment was over.
See, done? I guess I just feel they were good at a good game. They're bad at one that was tough. I guess I would want to see at least what happened with a different title. But I guess to that point, you want to build a team that title doesn't matter, right? You should be able to win at anything. So
yeah. And next year's more of the same of this year. So I don't.
You would think, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was a big Toronto fan. I love those guys.
Me too, man. I love that.
When you as a competitor, when you watch other teams win and you're like, fuck you. When Toronto won, I was like, you fucking get that shit.
Yeah.
I think it's like Ultra's done a good job kind of building the brand of these guys. And like they just have likable players. And I think even though I said like EU's gotten shit on, like there is that underdog thing where like, I don't know, when there is a good EU team, I want to see them do something. Like I want to see them win something.
Absolutely.
So I found myself like rooting for them, and that's not
just
all
unproblematic kings.
Yeah,
European kings.
They're really good too. Yeah, like their teamwork, especially last year, was just
even if they're
unreal.
worse, they're a bitch to play against. It looks like even
Dude,
when
that's what Brandon tweeted after they beat him. Was like, dude, it's so tough to put those guys down. Like, it's fucking hard.
Yeah. Cammy, the Cammy Scrappy thing, like, could one of them run a main? Do you think like it's worth holding on to Cammy? It feels like
I think dropping Cammy is such a mistake. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, I agree with you.
I think a fucking monster.
I think Cam's skill ceiling is literally top 3 player in the game.
We're with you. Okay. Joe and I are gigantic Cammy people.
Yeah, it feels like is internally, but players and teams realize kind of how good he is. Maybe he had like an off year, and maybe that's like, you know, we saw it last year. And he was good at MW, right? So I listen. Do you just think
that's when he started like popping off as MW? I was like, yo, this guy's kind of fucking nutty.
Yeah. Do you think it was just Scrappy's just running flash? I mean, Ultra is taking those chances. I mean, they did it since year 1, where they're just they built up their youth, and this is just kind of it. It's just is it a mistake?
I think
I don't know if Cammy runs a main AR. I don't think
he does. I think
that's
a mistake if he does.
Yeah. What was he involved in the transition between years? Because there was
it was him and Kleenex were like everybody wanted them.
They hadn't re-signed.
But wasn't everyone going after him? Like Empire? Wasn't everyone trying to get
everyone went after Cam and Toby last year. But I think having Cam, it's very similar like a Crim thing. I think he's just going to be underutilized if you have him run main. I think his proficiency with a sub is like, he's a legitimate flex player, which you don't have very often. So I think that like, there's very few in the league that are legitimate flex players. And I think he's one of them. So if you put him on a main, I think it's just a mistake.
And then what for them? It's Scrappy, Toby, and Insight. And then
and then a 1.
Yeah, 1. I think it's a good spot. I don't know if they're gonna take it from one of their young like academy teams, or
I think like Hixie's still on their roster, so that might be an angle
where they start.
I think it's kind of tough for Cam because I think Scrap is. I hate to use the word inevitable, but like his challenger everyone was just so good that like he had to be in the league. It was just one of those things. So taking Cammy's spot, I think it's a shitty hand to be dealt. But I think that Cam again his ceiling is so high that he'll land on his feet without problems.
Yeah, we'll get to that Rumour roster. Up next, OpTic. Fun one. Listen, this is why I wait until something.
When I made my video, dude, I uploaded that shit 2 hours before they tweeted LOL JK. I was like, you sons of bitches.
So all right, let's try to not. I guess I want to talk about like before we heard the LLJK and like thoughts when we actually thought it was happening, because I think most people were losing their minds. I thought it made sense at first. The Illy thing, I figured might be around the sense.
The Brandon thing did not make sense.
The Brandon thing made a ton of sense to me. That actually is what made the most sense, because what I assumed happened at the time, is we know there were the issues going back a couple of years where it was like the work ethic, where he wasn't a good teammate. All that stuff popped up with him and TJ, and he promised that it was going to be better. My assumption was some of the same mistakes were still being made. Some of that stuff had popped up again. And it was like, all right, it's too cutthroat now. Like that he wasn't putting in the effort. So at the time, I was like, if that is the case, he is not a big enough superstar to get away with that shit if that's what's happening. You've got scump on your team. I don't care how good you are gone if that's the case. That's what my thought was. If that's what the problem was, they had to get rid of him. So I actually understood it. And then everything went crazy.
Well, I guess, what were your thoughts on like the rumored lineup of like HYDRA, Scrum, Shotzi, Cam? Because that's what the 4 was. Like, I guess I'll give mine. I'll let you guys go first.
I thought it could have been twisted, honestly. I don't know.
I thought that
Attach was also a rumor.
Attach was a rumor as well. I honestly, I don't know. I think it's a lateral move in terms of skill. I think the ceiling of the team is crazy. I think Seth on a flex is like a very weird thing to talk about. But I think the terms of like only skill for the team, I thought it was a lateral move.
Well, I guess
really.
Yeah, my thought had not, see the skill. Yeah. The skill didn't really matter to me, and this was more just. I guess I always assumed it wasn't skill when it came to Dashy. It was something to do with like internal stuff. But
I guess that roster to me would all just kind of depend on Seth, because I think HYDRA's obviously really nuts.
Seth would have had to lead.
Yeah, Yeah, he would have had to do that as well. But I think like they would have had a lot of pace. They would have been like crazy to play against.
Crazy pace.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the Alec one a little bit more though. The Alec roster. The Alec one could have been cool.
So
what's the Alex one?
It would have been Alec and Paco. So Seth runs flex, Alec on main, and then Paco and Shotzi.
All right, I'm gonna go on a tangent here real quick with the Alec thing because this is the thing I really want to talk about, and I want to hear your opinion on. And it's going to kind of merge multiple roster things here. But
dots.
All right. FaZe obviously had some issues, but did this tweet and whatever's going on with Dashy, did that tweet kill the FaZe Dynasty?
What tweet?
The tweet that Dashy was gone. Because that for him being freed up.
Did FaZe drop Alec fully expecting to get Brandon?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
I think OpTic might have killed the FaZe Dynasty.
I think OpTic indirectly. They indirectly baited the shit out of him. I'm not gonna lie. I wholeheartedly think that team thought they were gonna get Brandon and drop that.
That's the way I view it. Like that team.
I agree.
Maybe they had problems and maybe something would have happened otherwise. But I think if they thought he was free and that's what they wanted to do, it killed it. And that
I think so.
I think that's wild to think about. Like
full
that
tinfoil. I agree.
I could be full of shit, but that's the way I view it. That tweet fucking killed a dynasty.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. To be honest,
there might be a lot more to it than we know, but
I was gonna say it felt like
there always is.
Yeah. All right. Before I ask about like that roster though, even Dashy, do you guys think because this team? And obviously, I think a big part of it's probably Illy's thumb. They were worried about his thumb, his injury. It's a lot more serious than what we thought. I guess knowing that they've made a move or thought about it, does it not like guarantee a full year for this lineup next year? Like, do you think if they have a slow start, it's changed fast?
I think they're already. I don't want to use the word broken because that's like an over exaggeration, but I think they're already
tough, right?
Like they're on their last legs. I think that they got together and they were like when you have a team meeting, like you're on the way out if you have a team meeting.
So I said they got talk shit. They talk shit out basically is what it came down to, right?
So like we were there, we were on the way out, we had one and we got better. So that could obviously happen. Like that team is fucking skill ceiling is top like the best team in the game. So I think that if they do start slow, then I think that like it's very possible for them to make a change quickly. But on that same note, I think that the amount of changes that are happening right now, their options for a sub are going to be so slim that it like their skill for their potential change might not even like they might just be forced to play together because who are they going to pick up at that point?
Oh, so I see. Okay. Then
so
here's the
stick
other
it out, suck it up situation maybe.
You think like because Seth wanted to potentially be a flex and Illy and Shotzi were a sub duo, you could potentially see that?
Illy running a sub? No. I think I don't think that makes sense.
Not gonna be better for his thumb, that's for sure.
That's what I'm saying. Like you're gonna be slide canceling with a broken thumb. Like no.
That's a good point. I guess like the flex position from team to team, that's like the superstar. Like, do you think like does it not matter because there's so much talent around Illy, or does he need to be better? Like I feel like he's got to be better, right?
I think. Oh yeah, bro. You can't. Okay. You can't continuously drop a 0.8 and not need to be better. Like that's. I don't care what excuse, whether it's intangibles, leadership, whatever. If you're a consistent 0.8, like you need to be better. That's just.
I think it's just hard for me to like knock the team or even review this year just because him being out, all the different teams you had. Like it's hard for me to even like think about whether they should change or not. That's why I guess I assumed it was more something with like teamwork, personality type stuff. Because how could you like look at it and come down to gameplay or skill when the year was so fucked like it was? At least that's how I think about it. Like you showed you could win.
I'm in the same boat.
And then it was a circus.
I'm down to roll with it. I mean, that's what I think too. But I just was like surprised now at this point. Like, I'm asking questions. Like there had to have been something. Like they, I mean, obviously set the shots. You were like, "Fucking blow it up, dude." Or Ray's like, "Listen, man, listen, we cannot."
Joe, we can converse.
Yeah, like obviously there's some things going on there.
Yeah,
because I guess I'm surprised if I was right and it was Dashy back to doing that bullshit. I don't know how they fix it because
what I told you was like,
you already had a coming to Jesus moment a year ago when he was doing that
Ray
stuff.
Joined the team.
How do you do it again and get away with it? That's why I think there's got to be something I don't know. Which I'm sure there is, but like, you couldn't have done the same shit you promised not to and got away with it again. At least I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, that was my thing. You were like, people were like, Howard, could Dashy get replaced? I'm like, you guys don't know Ray. Like, Ray don't give a fuck.
He doesn't give a shit.
I don't care.
I remember talking to Teak when he was the coach, bro, and he was showing up the practice, not showing up the practice, sleeping through it and shit. Like I heard all the horror stories. Like him and TJ were dog shit teammates that had no work ethic. So like I know what's possible. I just didn't know that's what was happening again.
Yeah. The beginning of the season is going to be big for this team. That's all I'll say. Because they're all in. Like they are.
Yep.
If they're not making changes and we don't know what the free agent market is going to look like, they have to hope that this team works out. Because if they need to make a change, the pickings are probably going to be slim by the time this is over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
and then I guess like we'll just go into this now though with this for the potential maybe for 2 years. Then like I guess like you would at least have a challenge. Maybe if they stick it out for a year, you would at least have like a challengers player success. This has to be great for challengers, right? Because challengers players,
if we do
you get picked up, it's a different title. If you have another year of the same title where you've had success, this has to be like the best case scenario for challenger players, right? Having multiple years.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree. It's just, I think that's just how it's going to be for everyone, not just challenger players, because it's going to be complete going about the offseason having 2 years of one game is going to be completely different because everyone's a known quantity. You're not picking up players based on like previous performances, like, yo, this guy fucking fried in this game 6 months ago. Let's make moves. So I think that the entire approach to the offseason is going to be something that, like, obviously we've never experienced before. So it's going to be relatively unknown territory, but I don't know.
I think to Joe's point, it's just bigger impact on challengers, though, just because with pros, at least you have a bunch of games. So, like, okay, they were good at 5 titles. It might be a challengers player that played for 1 year. At least it's not as much of a gamble, I guess, is
on the same note, I think that because we're having 2 games, I think that you look for the pro market even before the challengers. Like, you'll have like really good challenger players and you'll see who's good, but like at the same time, you'll have the exact same information for pro players. So I think that like we really haven't had trades or like any back and forth mid-season.
We'll
see. But I think that because the pros are also going to be known quantities, I think that market is going to be explored before challengers ever would be, obviously.
All right. Cool.
Well, you want to go to FAZE now? Because I want to like.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's do it.
Well, as we lead into this, I guess I'm going to go back to what I kind of joked about, like with the tweet. I guess I want to know from Sam's POV, like the past few years, like FAZE have kind of been FAZE since the CDL's inception. They've
best team ever.
They've kind of been the team to beat. Like they're
really
insane. I know you just won champs, but like looking back, if you can get rid of like that recency bias, was it sort of a thought as a player of like, what's going to end this thing? Like what is going to be?
It's the same mentality that I had about the OpTic dynasty. It's like the only thing that kills teams like that is the teams. Is themselves. You're not going to construct a team that is going to break them down to the point where they need to make a roster change. It's always going to be internal issues for a dynasty to fall. So the fact that it happened is kind of crazy. That's just there's only been 3 or 4 dynasties in the history of COD, and I do consider FAZE one because they have literally shit on everyone since the inception of the CDL. And I think if you think otherwise, you're just naive. So the fact that it's happening now in the way that OpTic potentially did it is kind of hilarious. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, that's even if it wasn't like, even if we can't say it was fully that. Because obviously there's a bunch of shit going on behind the scenes all year, but like that might have been like the final hit, right? The final hammer to the nail. Like just, okay, we're doing this. And I just find that wild.
I need to know what I am genuinely curious about is what they approached Brandon with that he turned them down.
Well,
if Hector just stonewalled him and was like, "Yo,
I think he loves OpTic, dude. I think he likes. I
think so too. I thought when I made my video about their change, I was like, I fully expected Brandon to Kobe Bryant, like, I'm on the OpTic for life. I'm never leaving this organization. So when they dropped him, I was like, holy fucking shit. So I'm curious, like, what the conversations were in that period of him being a restricted free agent. Like, did FaZe approach him with like a crazy offer? Did Hector just like flat out say, no, we need to talk this out? Was it like I don't know this situation when he was actually a restricted free agent, and then obviously when he came back. I would love to talk to him about that though. That'd be crazy.
I view it like this. I'm sorry if I'm doing Brandon dirty, but he strikes me as someone that enjoys being a star more than he cares about winning. In the sense of like, if it was between like being
my
like,
fucking sincerest, Brandon.
like if it was like being on OpTic and being that superstar for the OpTic brand and like maybe winning with FaZe, I think he would choose OpTic. Like maybe
his thinking is just like we beat these guys in Major 1. That has to be the message. The message is this lineup beat them. That's the message.
Maybe
that's literally the message.
He just comes across as like it just happened.
No, I agree, but I think it's also like, okay, do I go to FaZe or do I come back to OpTic? Well, at our best with this OpTic team, we beat FaZe, right? Like that's literally what you're telling yourself.
Yeah. And I actually don't think that team would be better with him versus someone like Alec. I think they need somebody like Alec.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on this, Sam?
Thank you.
Yeah, what are your thoughts?
I think, bro, that team is such a circle jerk in the fan, like by the fans and like people that are on the outside. That team would not be bad. It's impossible for that team to be bad.
Talented, but they would do some dumbass shit. I'll tell you.
Oh my god, that team would like just the pace on the map, like the leadership that would have to be bestowed upon some fucking body. Like
they go plus 90, game 5, round 11.
yeah, exactly. I think you either outslay by 250 or it's like a close game, because even with Alec on the team, the Dynasty still had issues fundamentally. Alec talked about it throughout all of their last 2 seasons, excuse me. He was like, yo, we're always breaking. We're never like ahead of the curve in hardpoint. Our fundamentals are always behind is like the reason that they're losing. And I think that was just like a trend for the last 2 years. So if you're replacing someone that is very, IGL fundamentals oriented and Alec with Brandon with more kills, I think that just exacerbates the issue.
Somebody asked me like a couple weeks ago, I think it was during Champs or something, like, you're telling me it wouldn't be a better team with Dash there instead of Alec? I said fuck no. I replied, I don't think so at all. And then this all went down. I was like, oh my god,
really cool. It looks really cool.
100%. It looks wild. They might be. I don't know. Search might be something interesting if you got.
Oh no, their S&D would be fucking crazy. I will admit their S&D would be fucking
Search
crazy.
would be nuts.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be really good. But their respawn,
it would be really tough to beat. Yeah.
Their respawn would be a downfall.
That much talent and suck. Like we're not saying that.
Well, they would probably still be a top 3 team, but
to be consistently on top, to be your OpTic, your complexity, your FaZe, to consistently be there, like. It's not just skill. It's not. Never has been. Yeah. Like maybe more in the Jetpack years, because I think there was a little bit more of a skill ceiling than other titles. Certainly make that argument, but like you need all of it now.
Yeah, fundamentals. Yeah. I was gonna say, ask you who you think their 4 should be, but someone in the chat said Zuma just said FaZe's 4th has been signed. Seems to be Slasher. So let's just go off that message. Thoughts on that? Honestly. Okay, initial thoughts for me is, first of all, I'm happy for Austin if that is true.
Is there a tweet about this somewhere or anything before we get too far into?
I'm just going to read the message. I trust the person.
I'm hopping on.
If it's Tommy, we could trust him.
Yeah, dude. He's the host of the flank. Well, just because I was going to ask you think the 4 should be. I just think my only issue is personalities.
Yeah.
Right?
Austin's leadership style is much different than Alex, for sure.
But do you think it changes because the people he has around him?
Potentially. I mean, when I played with Austin, his demeanor was much different when we were performing well as opposed to when we were struggling. So that's another situation where like winning solves everything. So I think if the team is firing, then it's like, holy shit. But I think if they're struggling and need to improve, I think that the environment can definitely be a little worse than with Alec. For sure.
Still just a rumor. Still just a rumor.
Yeah, still just a rumor.
Yeah, just a rumor.
Well, if it is a rumor, I do want to say that
we're going to talk about all the options.
I actually disagree in the sense that I think the way he is perfect for this particular team, because kind of like how Crowder, Chris had to be with them. Like, you need someone. They're fucking children. Like, I don't know if you know so well, but they're fucking idiots.
Wait, MC airdropped me a picture of Kirby with his D&B out while we were scrimming them. Airdropped me.
Okay, good example. I feel like they actually need somebody like Slasher who will just be like, shut the fuck up. Like that's how I view it.
But they are children, so they hear "shut the fuck up" and they're like, "Yo, fuck this guy."
Yeah, that's what I mean though. That's what I mean though. Like, obviously, can he do that? Like, that's like. Maybe he doesn't have to do that because he's got let's just say Sipper
a BZ. Let's put it that way. I like Slasher 1,000 times more than I do.
Is there anyone else like you think maybe could fit this spot? I know like supposedly went after Sib, that didn't work.
A lot of people are talking about switching Chris to a flex simp, but I think that would be a mistake. So I think they need I don't want Cell as the flex. I don't. I think Cell is a main AR. If he plays the way that he played in Vanguard, I think he's a main AR. He was really good with a sub in Cold War and Modern Warfare, so I think like he can be a flex player. But based on this season, he needs to be a main AR for that play style to work. But since he can do both, I think there's options. But I think they need a flex.
Do you think that hurt them though, and it hurt like kind of what Alec wanted? The way like you obviously don't tell Cell. Clint and I have had this out. You don't tell Cell to stop dropping on 1.3, 1.4. But do you think just the way he played was a little too slow and maybe hurt their dynamic?
He has a 1.3. I'm like, what's going on?
He had a 1.3 and I got a 100-point club by us on Berlin.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He went positive. I think
if he just I'm gonna answer. I think it's a good thing.
I'm gonna answer yes, strictly because the amount of times that Alec has tweeted that he has to run a sub in S&D or like needs to switch up the way that he is playing to accommodate his teammates makes me feel that way.
I agree.
It seems like Alec has always been not uncomfortable, but he's always the one that having to make the play style adjustments for that roster.
Simp played for this year too. Like, dude, when we were first watching their scrims, I'm like, why is Simp just doing all the dirty work at times? Because I was just like, it felt like they tried to play off of how Abisi, obviously he runs forward, and how Cell wanted to play, and it just felt like I thought like Alec and Simp were sort of trying to play around that, and
it could be true. I mean, I know it's a thing with Alec. I wholeheartedly know it's a thing with Alec in terms of changing the way he plays. I didn't really notice it that much with Chris.
You think Chris just had the worst year just for the funs of it?
I think it's just back to the thing that we talked about at the top of the show is just him not enjoying the game. Their whole team hated Vanguard. So I think
he's just the best player I've ever watched. So for him to have, he was wrong.
He's going to be probably the greatest player of all time by the time that he's done. But I think this year was just a down year.
Yeah,
holy shit, he's mortal.
No, it might be as simple as that.
Crazy.
I just figured there had to be something weird to it because it's just.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyone else you guys think maybe fourth for them? Like if it's not Slasher, what Clay? I don't know. Priesta.
I don't see. Like I don't remember. I think I was talking to Dylan about it, or who? I don't know. I was talking to somebody about it, and they've never really left their circle. If that makes sense. Like it's always been like Chris, Tyler, Major Maniac, Preston, Alec, MC. Like it basically everyone from Modern Warfare phase. They haven't left that circle. So now having to potentially do that is like a very weird angle to approach. Again, I don't know who they want to go after because the way that Crone was tweeting, it could be Cammy, could be Dylan still. Who knows?
Well, if they put me in that role, we win maps. It really just comes down to like, can they get someone where they can like maintain the dynasty and still be the best team? Because I just think the trio is impossible. Any player from the league goes in flex or main AR there. I don't care who the fuck it is. It's still a very, very good team.
Their trio they literally have a big three. Like it's insane how good those three are. So I think finding the right puzzle piece and they're right back to where they were before.
It's just for me, it's just can they stay like on top? Like
and it feels like everyone's waiting for them. It seems like the rest of Rostermania, everyone's kind of waiting for them. Other rosters we'll jump into the potential Rokkr one, which I think Sam was talking about earlier. It would be Minnesota Rokkrs pursuing Afro and Cammy to play alongside Attach. Reports were conflicted for the 4-player, but Bans was one that they heard. That was from Intel CDL. I mean, listen, I
like the team.
I like this team a lot as well. I mean, Afro and Cammy obviously have a really high skill ceiling. We know Dylan.
I'm happy
this is what you're kind of talking about. It's sort of Bance and Afro as this sub duo.
They have a good polarity to them. Afro is the head bash, like green light sub, which I think that guy had takeover potential that I've seen very few and far between from this past season. Like when you watch London's league matches, that guy was like actually 1v4ing. And then you have Ben, who's much more ratty, slow, methodical, like very vocal in the comms when you listen to Toronto. So I like their dynamic a lot. I like Dylan on a main. I think he's needed to run main for years now. I think it's echoing fan sentiment as well.
Fucking time.
Yeah, I think I'm very much echoing fan sentiment as well. He just needs to be running a main AR. I think his AR.
I don't know if I'm sold yet, but I'll give it another year with this team. You know, I like it.
Yeah. And then Cam is fucking gross. So I like the way that the team is constructed. I'm a big fan. Not gonna lie.
I love it. But like I saw our good buddy Ben Neeson basically said like great roster, but a lot of pressure for success here was probably not a cheap one to build. And like that's the first thing I thought was like they spent money to make this team 100%. Like that is not a cheap team.
Like I guarantee you both those the Dylan Cam got offers from FaZe. So Minnesota had to give them competing offers.
Yes. And like that is listen, there have been teams that we've had a mix of everything in CDL, teams that are willing to spend a lot and teams that are kind of just floating by, right? Like we've had a little bit of both. This is like this is like
I believe he said Paris.
you're spending to win. You're spending to win. So I feel like there is obviously added pressure here. If you're kind of going for it, and maybe this is a good time to go for it because if the FaZe team's changing, whatever the fuck's going on with OpTic, the only team that's like, oh, okay, right now is you. Honestly, it's Thieves. Everything else is kind of like
in Seattle.
Yeah, true. But I mean, like teams. Well, I guess they did get top 3, but I mean teams that could really like be winning multiple events. Like when I worry about your FaZe, your OpTic, like I don't know what's going on. Like, you're like the one constant kind of that might just be on top. But I think it's a good time to take a shot, I guess is my point.
I like the shot, dude. Minnesota's like playing cock block to FaZe too, because again, like Cam and Dylan were 2 players that were like 1 and 2 on the potential FaZe team. So the fact that they're now playing together makes me think that it's what you guys said, that Minnesota just threw them a bag and we're like, let's make this work. So
I think Minnesota too, besides this year and last year, they were top 4 team in MW. They were like the surprise, right?
They were very mid in Cold War until the end.
Like the last 2 stages,
they had
right?
Like, well, it was like Dylan, Major. What was that team you got? Like I mentioned role issues with it. What was their team at the beginning of Cold War?
It was before they added Standy, right?
It was before. It was like Preston. It was Preston, Major, Attach, and I don't remember the 4th.
I cannot remember the 4th.
But like that team, like
I think that team I think of Standy joining.
Yeah, so like they didn't kick up till the end of the Cold War season, but I thought that they were
Lamar.
Lamar. Yeah.
I forgot about that entirely. Dear God.
Yeah, that's Florida on a regular right there.
You went just think about the fact you went from accuracy to Standy. You could not have like 2.
That's literally Florida's like game plan right now. Just get all the ARs. Just scoop them up. Get them all.
That is a difference.
Yeah.
The other one's what? LAG. Gorillas, I suppose they're the one. I mean, throwing the whole Brinks truck at Alec alongside Hook, Spartan,
that's that Cronky money right there, man.
That is the cash money. I mean,
I gonna be honest, I'm not a huge fan.
I feel bad for Alec in the sense of just like. If
there's
you went
potential, right? There's potential.
No, there's okay. So talking
a ton
points
of potential between the 3 young guys.
Yeah,
right? You're going from that FaZe team sit next to those 3, and then
I think it had to be a money thing for Alec because I feel like the offers that he was getting to build elsewhere, like I'm not sure, or if he just like likes the roster, then hats off to him. But I think that like the main talking points, Kyler has superstar potential, very like insane player.
But he's on another planet.
But he's on another planet, sure. I think I will give Nep the benefit of the doubt. He's slotted in pretty late to this roster, and I don't want to talk about him on New York because that situation was just fucking terrible for him, I think. Yeah. So I think that like Nep slotting in late was a little weird for him towards the end of the season. I think Spark, he won MVP. Granted, it was with the Volk, but you don't win MVP solely because of one gun. I think their S&D is going to be really good. Those guys are playing S&D like Chow's at 2 a.m. every night together. So I think they enjoy playing the game together. So that's like one big talking point. And I think that
3 is like running a Cold War Black Ops 4 challenge, like it literally 14 hours a day. I'm like, what are you guys doing?
I think they're replacing Austin, which is kind of what Clint said with like the love or the good cop, bad cop situation. Maybe the bad cop didn't work. Maybe Alec being the good cop in this situation would. So that's where I think that like the team on paper doesn't look that promising, but I think that like their potential could be a major 2 champion.
I think that it's just the trio, depending on how good they are. I mean, they could be really good, like really, really. Depending on what Hook and Neptune we get, they could be insane.
I think the rest of these Alec, shit. Alec looking down the row and seeing Simp, Celium, and Abizi, and then looking down the row.
I'm so confused by Alec's choice. If this is the team, I'm genuinely confused.
I mean, he does have 2 rings? The guy's won a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe this is like, I'm going to go live in LA.
Is this his swan song? He's just fucking.
Maybe.
Maybe
He's just sick of dealing with this shit and wants to get his cash. I don't know.
Nicolas Cage, the end of his career, just take it, whatever
I don't know.
goddamn movie.
Apparently, they're playing from LA next year, so I'll ask him when he pulls up.
Yeah. I mean, it could work. I think
the
I
team
guess
could
I just
work.
feel for Alec and this whole everything going down. It just seems kind of wild.
Or maybe too, it's like they have a 4 now, and maybe this is the roster start, but then it becomes Alec's team and what he wants to build.
Do you think there's any chance that he just gets re-signed, or is that out the window?
I feel like that's just gone. I feel like that would have happened by now.
Like
There's no way. Yeah, I feel like that was like a 2-day window where they like talk it out and are like, okay, let's do it again. Where it's been multiple days at this point.
I feel
really
want to know what it was.
Well, it makes me think something was broken. Something was broken.
Yeah,
it had to be. I think that explains kind of this year a little bit too. Like something was off. My dog is going ham at the door right now. He's going.
I think that's pretty much it on Rostermania side for now until the next domino falls.
Yeah, there's a bunch of bullshit we could talk about, but I think the rest of it we just wait until some stuff starts to happen because, like you said, we need one big thing to play out, and it's kind of what's going on with this FAZE situation. And then
I think once the FAZE thing starts happening, all the signings will start hitting for sure.
Yeah, we'll wait for that. Then we'll get to our Reddit posts. Just a couple of questions to finish the show from just the fans out there. First one, either of us can answer this. What are your thoughts on current CDL season format and how would you improve it? I think Maven and myself have talked about this. I mean, we just want tournaments. Sam, you play. So
final year of the CWO. Final year of the CWO. We're done.
I agree. I think that the format now is definitely backloaded because Major 4 was the best tournament that we have ever had in the CDL, and I think that it's because of the bubble for champs. It created just so many insane matchups that otherwise would be snooze fests, in my opinion. So I think it makes one tournament or potentially 2 tournaments super fucking lit. But it sucks as a player. It's just like a stress throughout the entire season if you have one downstate. Like we almost didn't qualify for champs if we didn't play well at Major 4. So as a player, it's a super stressor. I do want more events for sure. And I am a fan of not everyone going to champs. I think that you can't just participate and show up to the best tournament. So I think that's my thoughts there.
Well, this year kind of opened eyes, I think. Well, I think that run New York had kind of opened people's eyes to the North American sports type of like season into playoffs and what amazing things can happen. It creates those stories. And I think finally some were like, oh, I get it now. That New York run, that was fucking insane. And I think that's what COD is, man. Storylines. Oh, I'm down for more.
Yeah, I guess. Listen, I mean, when I worked League Ops, my whole thing was land league. That's what I wanted. Sam, you've been playing in them, like the online matches with the whole
online COD.
Okay, never mind. I won't even ask it. Agreed.
Fuck online COD.
FAZE up. Fuck online COD.
Yeah, LAN League is just peak competition, dude. It's just the results that happen are not skewed in any way. They can't be asterisks in any way. You showed up, you win or you lose. Whereas
unless
online,
you climb
it's like,
a ladder and you can't get your gun out. I mean,
or that works as well. That's always an option. But online, it's like, oh, we got fake ping, so we won this 3-0 in 10 minutes. Sorry, Boston. Like, I don't know. LAN League's always going to be the end all be all, but I don't know if we're ever going to get back there.
Okay. Let's see here. For anyone, which storylines excite you the most for next year? Any teams you are secretly rooting for to find success? I mean, Sam just probably wants everyone to lose. Maybe, Sam, there's like a team like you're like, yeah, whatever. They win,
it used to be Toronto, but they blew it up.
Okay, so Mate, for you?
I mean, I guess I've gotten to the point where I just don't give a fuck. I just want good matches. So like, I don't care. Like whatever I'm casting, I just want to be a good series. I guess if there's any team that I feel a little more connected to, it's Thieves or FAZE, just because our relationship with Chris and with Mud Dog, and I'm a little bit closer to like some people there, but fuck FAZE with how this thing went down. And Thieves needs a bitch. So I'm going to go with, I don't really care.
You don't really care.
Wait, Sam, did I tell you about my interaction with Nate at Champs?
Yeah.
Bro, oh
He's
my
like, it
God.
would be a shame if he lost 5 straight or something like that.
Bro, his face. He could have killed me. I thought he was going to kill me.
Yeah, he told me.
It's so good.
I think it's an easy one. Do you guys think FAZE overreacted with this roster move? Do you just think it was like we wanted Dashy? I think we're all kind of in the same boat.
I think it's a complete overreaction.
Yeah. We just don't know what led to the overreaction, I guess. Yeah. If it even was the problem. Maybe stuff was
Hector's
horrible
playing
in that
chess while everyone else is playing checkers, dude.
If that tweet actually like was the final nail, dude,
That's gonna be so funny.
I'm gonna look back and like think about like 10 years from now. We're looking back on dynasties and we think about that fucking FaZe roster and what they did. And we're like,
That tweet's gonna go in the Hall of Fame.
Tweeted.
That tweet's going in the Hall of Fame. There's a group chat with MC, Chris, and Tyler somewhere with the tweet posted in it like, boys, it's time.
You know what though? I'm just happy at least they came out when they were like, listen, there was actually some real shit. Cause that shit came out.
Yeah.
And like there was so many people who were like, oh dude, yep, told you guys it was a troll.
Yeah.
They trolled everyone.
I'm happy
they did troll. Actually, they did troll into breaking a face. I don't want to be better.
No, but the players have come out and said it wasn't a troll. But I'm like, dude, it was not a troll.
No.
And then last one, a question for Maeve. How long did it take you to teach Octane how to shoot?
We're going on 10 years now of knowing each other. I knew him when he was a young little, he was like team with Looney jumping around.
A young little Jacob.
They were playing that oddball.
The greatest game mode ever.
I miss uplink so bad, bro.
Same.
The greatest game mode of all
I
time.
miss it so bad.
You guys remember Gridiron in World War II?
When they told me,
you guys ever see that?
Yeah, I did. I was at a playtest.
Yeah, it was the worst
the players were like, no.
When I heard
ever. You can throw the ball 75 yards.
When I heard they were doing that, I was like, I think you're missing the entire point of what
flying.
made uplink fun. Yeah. The whole ability to fly through the sky was very important.
We went from space to 1945. I think we're missing something.
We're playing fucking Madden at this point. Like, what are we doing?
Let's just not go back to this era. It feels like casuals and us.
I don't know, man. The 15th World War II game might hit.
It might.
I was thinking World War One.
Oh shit.
Okay. Was there a lot of fire? Because there was fire everywhere in this game, bro.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it. Sam, thanks for joining us. Sam, where can the people listening find you? Find your content.
YouTube.com/Octane Sam. Same on Twitter, and that's it.
Oh, that's hot.
Yep.
What, twitch.tv/Octane?
Yeah, but I'm inconsistent in streaming, so we're not going to plug that.
Hey.
Maybe I'm there, maybe I'm not. Who fucking knows?
You never know. Someone gift him 5.
I'll take a 5 gifted. Let me open up.
Maeve, send us away.
Well, I just want to tell Sam I love him. Everyone, this has been a fun time. That's the first time I had a guest, and Sam, you did a great job, but we knew you would.
Yeah, you're awesome. Thank you.
I don't know exactly what the next episode is. We have stuff to figure out. Probably going to wait for some of the drama with Rostermania to play out, and then we'll figure it out from there. But thank you all for watching. This is Toronto Ultra, Merk and Maven podcast. Have a fucking sexy day.
What a sign off. What a sign off. A fucking sexy day.